Seeing and diving into basketball around the world is a blessing. All the cliches about the sport connecting people and bringing communities together and being a refuge for people are so true. But you don't realize just how powerful this sport is until you see it in action in so many different communities with every type of person around the world. And I want you guys to be able to experience even just a little bit of this. So, some background here. Every year we do our By Any Means Europe tour, and man, it's a grind. But this is the third year, so I was like, yo, I'm gonna vlog every single day and bring everyone along for every step of the journey. Easy, right? But when you're traveling across a continent every 2 to 3 days and giving everything you have to camps and the people that you're with, that goes to shit pretty quickly. So this is more of a recap. Frankly, this way you guys get most of the cool stuff, the exploring, the cultures, the people, without seeing all the boring stuff. The traveling, the administrative work, all the BS. And honestly, this is probably the most life-changing one yet. Actually, hands down. I feel like I'm well-traveled enough to the point now where I can pick up on the intricacies of cultures and people within these communities that teaches me so much. And my biggest dream, once again, is to share it with you guys in a similarly life-changing way, or one that makes you guys want to get outside of your comfort zone and visit places like this. Maybe this video will open up a perspective or two, or maybe it'll take some time. But either way, I'm excited to show you guys a bit of what went down. All right, so stop one, Luxembourg. I'll keep it a buck. I never thought I'd go to Luxembourg. Actually, as a matter of fact, I never even knew Luxembourg existed until probably 3 years ago. And honestly, it was probably introduced to me through meeting Peter over IG, which is pretty typical of an American being in the little American bubble, but what can you say?
Yeah, that's always been my team.
No,
You don't have like this curve where you have to spin and whatnot, and
Yeah.
it's just you
Really?
push a button, like, and then it's just.
Why don't we have?
And what's the best first stop to get a feel for a brand new country? Of course, a cup final. And this game was a perfect kickoff to the trip, and also an incredible example of how certain places you'd never imagine have a beautiful basketball culture. In this case, a country smaller by population than El Paso, Texas, has something nice going on. A great environment, super high IQ, and some really solid talent. And I think y'all be surprised at how physical and fast the game is in a league like this, and how quick decisions have to be made. And it's always fun to watch high stakes basketball, no matter where it is. Especially in a place like this, where you have a mix between locals who grew up watching this cup, and imports who need to win and perform to move up the ranks. Great start to the trip. Next day, we're right to our first camp, but not without checking out one of my good friend Yurik's coach's clinics, which was also in Luxembourg this weekend. Yurik and I share many philosophies, but he's been in the game for such a long time that there's so much to learn from him. And doing this right before camp too was an amazing way to generate some last minute ideas. And one thing y'all see in these clips is that especially this year, our mission through these camps revolved around a few big focuses. Number one, teaching players how to train on their own.
There are a lot of different ways that you can release a layup, right? Somebody give me some ideas. How can you release a layup? Boom, all right, wide, you can go extension, what else? Yeah, you can go overhand right here, across, over, wide, this way. There are so many ways that you can do it. So we'll just go a little finishing warm up. We'll go 2 minutes, get as many as you can. Every single release has to be different.
2, building basketball IQ and combining that with elite level skill. So kind of mixing the quote unquote European and American styles of play. Number 3, growing confidence and teaching them how to train their mental tools. And lastly, exposing them to a fun and competitive environment, which honestly, all of this revolves around. So in the warm-up especially, I want them competing, smiling,
Through you.
and enjoying this environment. And this was definitely one of the more fun camps I've ever run. The vibes were amazing. We had at least 10 or 15 players travel from Germany, France, and Belgium, which were all nearby. And it was a cool mix of a bunch of hoopers from all over the place who wanted to get better, compete, and honestly probably don't get enough of stuff like this.
I'm Jonathan van der Link and I'm from Belgium. We expect a lot of good expertise, and the kids enjoy seeing him in the real life, because they always see him on the video and all that stuff. So we were expecting to see a good basketball, good knowledge, and we learned a lot with the camp.
The next day, we made a quick stop by the sports school of Luxembourg to watch him at Peter's training.
Made a tough ass bucket. Look, for the game. Split the defense.
Oh.
Hop into it. Boom.
Yeah. Ja, da kommt die nicht schießen.
Hey, good work. The Publix logo is crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta get there, bro.
So this is the one and only high school in Luxembourg where you have to be in a federation to join. So pretty much all national team players in all sports. Yeah, if you're good enough and you join a federation, then you can join this high school. And the big advantage is that they can obviously practice more, have, I would say, better facilities, trainers who, you know, even if injuries or if they have like tournaments, it's easier for them to manage school and sports.
Played a bit of soccer, checked out a bit more of Luxembourg, and then it was already time to head out to a country that had been a dream of mine for a couple of years now. Serbia. And if you're not too familiar with European hoops, you may be wondering why Serbia is a dream of mine. Seems like a pretty random place to have on top of the travel wish list, but if you're truly passionate about hoops, it's one of those places that's a must. But we'll get into that. And the first stop is a good example of why. Actually, the first stop was this, which definitely made the hooping a little bit tougher, but yeah, there aren't many better places to hoop in the world than this. And one thing I picked up quickly and over the course of this trip is that casual hoops in Serbia is a bit different. The ball moves way quicker. It's physical, but people don't take it too serious most times, and it's really, really good vibes. It's like street ball, but kind of the opposite, where they move the ball and it's pretty beautiful. Our timing was a bit off tonight, but it was good to break ourselves into the hoop a bit here, because the next stop was full on. Over the course of the week, we headed to 3 games, 2 Partizan and 1 Zvezda game, a Red Star. And I kid you not, this may be the peak of my life so far. Walking into Stark Arena after watching the EuroLeague for a couple years now, seeing the passion, win or loss of these fans. And I don't even want to call them fans, it's just something more than that. It speaks to how important basketball can be. Basketball in Serbia is a historic thing. There's so much history behind it that we're going to unfold in a future documentary. But just know that wars, culture, ways of life, all of this goes into bringing these fans together into the Stark Arena, which feels like it's going to explode at every second. It's one of those places that truly leaves you speechless. You stand there in an unprecedented state because it's like nothing you've ever imagined. And especially being there in a huge rivalry game, which if you're a EuroLeague fan, you know exactly why Real Madrid coming back to Serbia for the first time is a huge deal. I honestly still think about it pretty much daily, but it didn't just stop at the games. We wanted as much of a feel as we could get for Serbian hoops. So we checked out the historic Partizan and Red Star courts in the Fortress, interviewed a couple really good people, checked out the Mega facility, which is actually the club that produced Jokic and many more NBA players, checked out some trainings, and much more. But of course, ran a camp that was super unique. The crazy thing about Serbia is that so many of these players have already such a great feel for the game that I kind of learned from them in many ways, and then just supplemented this with tips, adding some skills into it, challenging them,
3. Try to find these situations where you have an advantage. I can do like a little bit of like a toss out here or just like a drop, okay? He cannot go until I go. What I'm trying to do is find a positional or like an angle advantage here to make it easier on myself.
And at the end, giving away tickets to the Partizan game, which was another huge highlight of the trip.
All right, tickets. Again, I wish I could get tickets for everybody. Clap it up. All right, it's not because of the shirt he's wearing. I promise you, I didn't even realize he was wearing this. All right, he asked the most questions. Again, you guys all did a freaking amazing job. Asked amazing questions, approached every drill with energy. I respect you for that, man. That's an amazing approach. Stay in touch, please. We'll be back here soon. I know he'll definitely be back, but I'll be back soon as well, and we'll keep building this up.
And I've never been to a game, actually. This is my first time. I'm super excited.
That's crazy. And this is the craziest one you could go to.
Yeah.
Of course, there's still a lot that we have to learn about Serbian hoops, and we'll be back soon, but this was a great way to experience it for the first time. Next was to Barcelona, which was an incredible experience as always. If you've ever studied Spanish hoopers at all, you know how crafty and creative they are. So the hoops is a perfect fit for my style of coaching, which directs a huge emphasis on cultivating creative hoopers and methods. And honestly, outside of the court, if I'm being real, Barcelona is definitely my top 3 cities in the world. But unfortunately, we didn't get much footage at all. There are certain times in these trips where I get so immersed in the beauty of the culture, the nature, the experience, that we forget that we should probably be making some content. Honestly though, I never regret it. Anytime you just get into this flow state of experiencing something, it's an amazing thing. But of course, my mission is to also share basketball all over the world and all these incredible things with you guys. So we got to stay diligent, and landing in Iceland, that was necessary. Because when we touched down off the late night, after hours of airport BS, this was surreal. You know how sometimes you're so tired and delirious that it almost feels like a dream? Yeah, that's where I was at mentally. Then imagine seeing an active, erupting, freaking volcano while you're in that state. Yeah, crazy. But it was time to wake up a couple hours later, lock in, and get straight to it. I love Icelandic hoops. It's unbelievable. It's a country of less than 400,000 people, yet it easily has some of the best high IQ and also athletic hoopers of any place that we've been to. From youngins up to the professional leagues, it's high quality basketball. And for this reason, they were a point or two from qualifying for the World Cup a few years ago. They would have been the smallest nation ever, and I got no doubts that soon they're going to put the whole world on notice to a high degree. And they do it all while striking a perfect balance between intense competition and maintaining the fun of the game. I also love this annual Iceland camp because these guys and girls embrace experimenting and trying new things.
But again, I'm getting up in the air here, something below that hip, and then into it. Now, if that's easy, what you can try is going up with one hand, touch here, this hand doesn't even touch it, and you're finishing from there. 1, 2, exact steps, I touch, and then I have to finish from there.
In some cultures, I'll see players a bit more hesitant to try new things, which is very justifiable, but in Iceland, they get to it. Whether we're working on driving through contact, restructuring how they plan shooting workouts, which I actually posted a full YouTube video about, or certain unique basketball IQ concepts, they embraced it. And over the course of 3 days, you can feel certain things start to click with them. Then after the camp, we made sure we had a bit of time to explore. And I kid you not when I say that Iceland legit looks like another planet sometimes. It's incredible. And while all these videos may be impressive, there's literally no way to capture all this. It's kind of frustrating, to be honest. I wish I could share this awe and level of captivation with you guys, with my family, with my friends. But some things just aren't the same if you're not immersed in it fully. It's crazy. And somebody somewhere along the way on this trip, and I can't remember who it was, probably because of how tired and delirious I was at the time, told me this: basketball is a hell of a drug. And man, it is. It keeps you going. Just like standing speechless in the Icelandic mountains, it's hard to put into words this feeling too. That certainty that your tank is on empty and has been, but also realizing that something is keeping you going. Something that feels like an external force, but that's really buried deep inside of you. Waking up on a plane, seeing the sunlight, and immediately directing your mind to the next task at hand, even if you don't know how you're doing it. It's an intense confirmation this is your passion, your purpose. And in this case, it's an uncomfortable but also priceless reminder to me how much I care about changing the world through hoops. Anyways, yeah, we get straight off the plane to this workout in Madrid, right off the red eye. After that, headed to a Real Madrid game, which was amazing, but unfortunately we couldn't get the camera in.
Svaka ti čast, brate, što si došao, znači. A odakle ste vi? Ja sam Bijeljina, ako znaš gdje je. No, where are you from? Not where you live, where are your parents from?
Oh, America.
America?
Yeah, man.
Kako se kaže saučešće?
It says my condolences.
Yes.
And after a short stop here, it was time for London, one of my favorites as always. The style of hoops in London is interesting. It's not what most people think about when they think about European hoops. It's definitely more ISO ball centered and seems a bit more American than almost anywhere I've been. But the individual skill is definitely coming along. So this camp focused a bit more on the IQ side, exposing them to patterns in the game, tips to help make the game easier, and how to play seamlessly with teammates, but also while building some individual skill and teaching them how to train ball handling and working through contact when they're not with a coach.
If you guys could make every shot, would you? You would, right? So why don't you? Because you can't control it. You can control the preparation, but once you're in that game, if you would make that shot, if you would make that layup, if you would avoid that turnover, you would. So that should show you that those things are uncontrollable. So if you miss a shot, why are you tripping about it? Why are you still thinking about it? You couldn't control it. Like, you couldn't do anything about it. What are some things that you can control? Effort, keeping level-headed, staying even, staying positive, right?
I also feel at home in London by now. We've been there 4 times and the homies there always take care of us. So it's amazing vibes. Same thing with Munich too, which is the next stop and maybe the most lighthearted fun camp we had, with over 70 players coming out, and then finishing it all up with a dope 3x3 tournament with our guys at Jam and Jelly. We definitely competed hard and I felt this for a few days afterwards. This is a fun time getting the dub. Also got a chance to check out the Bayern Munich facility and watch you guys train and practice a bit, eat some schnitzel, and of course, had to stay up to date on the content.
Thank you.
Which is honestly one of the toughest parts about these tours, is that I know people are still waiting on the content and it's got to stay on schedule, but man, it's not too easy as you can see. Then late night, we headed to Sweden, where we did a couple of great sessions, including one of my favorite sessions ever with this group of U18 guys, which you can check out in this video. And even played some beach volleyball, in Sweden, and low-key one of the coolest gym locations you can have. But it's safe to say after this week, the tank was truly on E. So we headed to Nice for a perfectly timed break. At times, these trips can be so demanding that I legit forget where I am. It's a scary feeling. I try to stay as present as possible, but I'm human and my attention can only go so many places. So being able to chill for a bit in a place like this, while exploring, experiencing a brand new culture, and forcing myself into some downtime, it's a great way to stimulate some reflection, some deep thinking about everything I've experienced and learned, and what the next steps are. And man, that was needed. I'm learning the importance of separating your mind from basketball sometimes. As a player, I was always so wrapped up in working, and then how I played that it ate at me. And as a coach, I'm so obsessed with my big visions and how I can help people learn more and reach my potential that I forget how much getting away from the sport can actually come back to help. A lesson for every player, coach, fan, whatever it may be. So after a day or two off the feet, we headed to this park daily for the rest of the week and ended up not only hooping, but playing some soccer too. Once again, it goes back to this. It's crazy how sports can connect people the way they do. It's cliche, but it's legit a language in itself. Really nobody here spoke any English, and unfortunately, I don't speak French, but we're playing for hours on end, laughing, joking, competing. And then, although I was trying to free the mind from hoops a bit, when you get a chance to go to a EuroLeague game in Monaco, you take advantage, and it was worth it. And then lastly was a stop in Norway, another one of the spots that we've been to for 3 straight years and feels like home. By this point, the hard drive was damn near full with all the footage, so we didn't get too much. But we had some good waffles, checked out a finals game, and of course, enjoyed the final camp of the trip. After that, it's back to the crib, and it's taken me almost a month to reflect on this. Again, we move so fast in these trips that I tend to forget even life-changing things. So looking back on a trip like this and being able to share all of this with all of you guys, it's an incredible feeling, and hopefully I did a decent job of it. As always, thank you guys so much for being a part of the family, for staying tuned in, and hopefully, if I haven't met you yet, I will soon. I'm looking to explore as many basketball cultures as I possibly can, and we're only getting started.